the weekly. I'm Bonnie Halper. I write the weekly StartupOneStop newsletter. It's full of information for entrepreneurs, and it comes out every Tuesday morning. We've been doing investor breakfasts. We used to do them in person at KettleSpace. We've been doing them for about 7 years. And we do them every 2 weeks now online since all the lockdowns. And we also do bootstrapper breakfast once a month. And we want to thank KettleSpace. Why don't you guys tell us about KettleSpace, Joseph and Brenda, because they're opening spaces again.
Thank you, Bonnie. I'll give a quick intro, and Brenda, you can maybe do a quick introduction. So I'm Joseph Katz. I head up marketing for KettleSpace. KettleSpace, for those who don't know, is a real estate technology company. We're based in New York. We have a network of inspiring workplaces where people can come and work throughout the day. We also partner with organizations to help them bring their people back to the office using a software product we created over the last year and a half. And excited to be here because the brain is an interesting thing.
It sure is.
Brenda, you just do a quick intro so everyone knows who you are.
Yes, definitely excited to be here. I'm the marketing assistant at KettleSpace. I run social medias, and now I'm here at events. So I'm very excited with John's presentation. Thank you, everyone, for being here.
Yes, thank you, everybody. And now, John, the floor is yours.
All right. So first of all, I just have to warn you. So I want to take you through some slides, give you some information, some context. Once we start the exercises, though, and I'll explain why when we do, it's very important that you all unmute yourselves and turn on your cameras if you can.
Do you want to give us a little bit about your background as well?
Yeah, I'm going to do that right now. I'm just going to go through. Let me just share my screen here. And I will do that. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
It's sort of cut off a bit.
Okay, is it cut off a bit?
Yes.
All right, I think that's by the way, we just moved, so my monitors, I'm still trying to adjust. Let me try that. Is that better?
I think yes.
The bet's better, right? Can you see my presenter mode, or can you see the actual slideshow?
D, all the above.
All the above, okay. Let me just come back over here so I can see you. Whoops. Okay, so what do you see now? You see two slides, or just the cover slide, or two slides?
Just the cover slide.
Oh, perfect. Okay, good. Okay, good. Now I'll put this back over here so I can see you. All right. So basically, yeah, let me take you through a little bit of background. The first, though, I want to ask you a question. The question for you, I mean, this is us, right? I mean, so much stuff we have on our plates all the time, constantly. So what I want you to do is think about some area of your life that might be holding you back, or that you'd like to do better at. It could be sports, it could be relationships, it could be, driving a car, playing golf. I mean, whatever it is that you wish maybe getting more done in less time. Because I want to personalize this. So I want you to think about that, about the things that might be holding you back that you'd like to do better at. And hold that in your mind as we go through this, and then let's see if we can improve those areas. So I want to give you a little, just keep happening. I want to give you a little bit about background and critical concepts that this is based on, and I want to give you some results that people have had to kind of inspire you. And then we're actually going to go through the actual program. So one of the first concepts, we developed this field of applied neuroplasticity, and I'll go through that in more detail. But the purpose is to focus on the brain. So typically we want to improve. We do a lot of things with our body, right? We practice, we go to classes, we try to learn things that will improve the way our physical, our abilities to achieve the success we want. Underneath that is the mind, which is very powerful, right? Like someone mentioned NLP. How we can control our mind is very powerful, but the brain is the core of everything. Everything we do is basically depends on our brain's ability to process information. And one of the examples I use for this, a lot of technical people here, right, is if we compare this to a computer, the body, everything we do with the body is kind of like the applications on your computer. The mind is your operating system. The processor is where we want to target, right? Because if you get a new computer, everything works better because your processor is faster and more efficient. Our performance framework is typically, we think of experience and learning, right? You guys learn as much as you can that you're interested in, and you experience it, or you'll experience it and you'll learn about why you experienced what you did and how to make it better. That's the typical performance framework we operate from. But if we can add mental efficiency, we can get that sweet spot in the middle where experience, learning, everything's happening faster, everything's coming together, and the ability to execute is much better. So the basic formula, you guys like formula, is P plus N equals CBT. Okay, CBT being combat brain training. And the P stands for process, right? Demings. If you can't describe what you're doing as a process, you don't know what you're doing. And my big awareness of how important process was came many, many years ago. I was starting my first entrepreneurial venture, was in the energy conservation field. I developed a little computer to do energy efficiency, but I was paying bills by working at a restaurant. And on a Friday night, the owner came to me and said, "Hey, John, I had to fire the manager. I want you to take over." I thought, piece of cake, no big deal. I got this. I know the staff. I know the customers. I know everything about this. You guys have probably been in that situation before, right? You set yourself up to be like the big success, right? This is going to be my big chance. Unfortunately, our busboy, who we didn't realize how much we relied on him, was sick. He sent his cousin who never bussed tables before. And it turned out to be the worst night ever in the restaurant. I was so embarrassed because I knew that Saturday was coming, right? That's twice as many people. And if I didn't get things fixed, it was going to be another disaster. I was so embarrassed because this was supposed to be my moment to shine. And so I was walking around the restaurant at night, like 2, 3 in the morning. I was praying about it, thinking about it. How can we figure out how to make this better? And on the wall was the seating chart. Now, if you've ever been to a restaurant, there's always a seating chart there. And that's basically to assign stations to wait staff, right? You draw lines around it so everybody knows what they're supposed to do. And I had this eureka moment, right? So the eureka moment was that the busboy was going crazy because he was doing everything what everybody else said. It was a very ad hoc environment. Customer asked for water to get water. Waiter asked for coffee, get coffee. Someone said, "Hey, clear my table." He was running around like crazy all night long. And that was what threw everybody else off, because then the waiters had to do his job, the kitchen, it was a big mess. So I realized that I got the power defined process, right? I realized I could draw a path through the restaurant that would pass by every table in one continuous loop. So I strategically placed the bus tray, and then I placed the silver tray, because it always bothers me at nice restaurants when they don't replace the silver, the water and the coffee. And so that night, Saturday, I said, all you have to do is follow this process, and every trip you do something different. First you go through and pour the water, then you go back and clear the plates, and then you bring out the silver, and at the end you bring the coffee. So he was followed this process all night long, and it was the best night we ever had, because he was able to do his job, the waiters were able to do their jobs, the kitchen was able to do their jobs, and the customers were happy. Now, the other thing that happened when I saw this happen was not just the efficiency or the money part, but actually the attitude of the people that were involved, right? So the night before, this poor busboy did his best, but he failed, and he knew he failed, and he felt terrible. This time he felt great because he knew he was doing a great job. The waiters were able to focus on their job. And so because of this one simple process, everything changed. We went on to become one of the top restaurants in the Chicago area with a bunch of other stuff. But this was the key to me. Researching that, I developed or found something. You guys are in IT. I don't know if you remember the capability maturity model. Long time ago, it was a way to measure an organization's efficiency based not on people or technology, but on process, right? And there's 5 levels. The bottom 3 are the most important. The ad hoc level is what we experienced in the restaurant in the beginning, right? Herding cats. So that's what it is, right? So most organizations, you may experience this in your own organizations. As you grow, you add more people, people do what they think they're supposed to do. It can become a mess. Now, a lot of companies will go to the repeatable level by having their better people mentor the less experienced people. 1 out of 4, that works great, right? The performance matrix. A great mentor, great mentee, good things can happen. The others doesn't work. I've seen mentors storm out of a conference room before because they were so frustrated with the people that were supposed to train. So again, nobody's happy. Nobody's happy. Plus, now you're adding another burden to your experienced people, right? So in addition to everything else you got on their plate, now they've got this to do. They get burnout and they get stressed, and sometimes they'll quit. So once again, the key level is a defined level, right? We want to define what has to be done. Your experienced people define all the tasks they have to do, then they can hand it off to a newer, inexperienced person, right? Who can follow the process, provide almost the same quality results, but at the same time, it saves the company money because they're paying for less experienced resource to do this. And at the same time, this resource is now learning about the company and feels really good about what he's doing because he's contributing positively to the success of the company. So that's the ultimate in operational efficiency. So how did that help me? So over the years, you know, I became a consultant, did a lot of consulting, big companies, built the first PMO at Abbott Labs, again, based on this very simple process re-engineering approach. The entire Y2K transition from Motorola PCS, 20 countries, thousands of people, again, all based on process. Capability maturity, that's what we're talking about, that the largest one at Motorola, shipping companies. So if you see, every one of these industries is completely different, right? But the important piece is that they all rely on process to be more efficient. At Aon, I love that job. It was working directly with the CIO, close all these projects that have been sitting around for years. Again, by relying on this very simple process re-engineering, getting to the defined level, and everybody does better. And finally, the director of Midwest Project Management Center of Excellence. So all that kind of stuff, right? Very, very simple approach to very complex things, but very, very effective. So then I got a new challenge, right? Here's my new challenge. This is a challenge from my brother, right? So imagine if your work environment wasn't this, but this, right? And you'll know about this. And if you made a mistake, you wouldn't get this, but this, right? So my brother came back from Iraq, 2006. He said, IEDs are killing us, right? And they are the most dangerous weapon against our troops of anything, right? Because, you know, you can have a bomb or under some garbage over in the corner somewhere with a guy with a detonator a mile away. Right? You don't know what's going to happen or when. And so very, very difficult. That's what was killing most of our guys. And he said, can you do anything to help? And so I thought, I don't know, maybe this is a chance to help people save lives instead of just make more money. So, and Natasha, you know about this very well, right? This is where a lot of the training goes because that's why it's so dangerous. So I was able to talk myself into an event at 29 Palms, California, where they specifically was designed to get innovative ideas from industry by exposing us to as much about IEDs as possible. Okay, and so I'm figuring out what we possibly do. And finally, what I realized, because the guides who led us down or through this whole long weekend were all Marines who had survived IED blasts. And the typical story they said was, I started going down this one street or this one alley, and somebody told me something was wrong. I went a different way. The guy behind me kept going, got blown up, right? So why two Marines, similar training, similar demographics? Why does one have better intuition? And I realized the critical factor was mental efficiency, right? Because you're able to process information more efficiently and actually make a decision on it. So the question then, can we apply that same model to the brain, right? Can we define the thinking process that's critical to success, get us out of the ad hoc level to define thinking, and make the brain so efficient that we can actually improve intuition, improve decision-making under stress. So the key first was to define the thinking process. Now, this model is called the OODA loop. It's developed by an Air Force Colonel John Boyd. The Marines really adopted it more than any other force. But the main thing was that you observe, orient, decide, and act, right? That loop, it's called the OODA loop. You may be familiar with it. Traders relate to this a lot. If you can make that faster and get inside your enemy's OODA loop, you can make decisions faster. And so basically, I define the thinking process as break it down, think it through, and execute, which you'll experience in a little bit, right? So no matter what you're doing, there's data coming into your brain constantly. Your ability to selectively focus on what's important, break it down its components, think through what you want to do with it, and then execute on it is the determining factor in your success in that thinking process. And what keeps you on track is attention and focus, right? Because you all know what it's like. If we lose focus, we get much less efficient and things go wrong, right? So we have to improve our focus and attention. So that's the define process. Now, if we really make it work, what happens is that break it down and think it through starts to go into the unconscious where it's much more efficient. Then our brain only has to pull up what's relevant for that decision. We call that chronosynthesis or critical synthesis, right? Because we're very good at analysis in most of our fields. It's a synthesis of disparate bits of information into something tangible that we can act on that is a really determining factor. And that's what we're trying to create. So that's the process piece. The very important piece other than that is neuroplasticity. You guys have talked about that. That is the amazing capability God has given our brains to change from stimulation. Everything that we do and think that we repeat will change our brain. Critical research to me for this was just at this time when I was putting this proposal together for the Marines. Research came out of MIT that said robust stimulation will physically change the brain starting immediately. That was critical to all of our successes. And one of the reasons why digital programs like CogMed and Lumosity, you get better at the games because of practice effect. But tons of neuroscientists and research will say there's very minimal real world or far effect benefits because it's not translating from the brain to the real world. Because robust stimulation involves the parts of the brain that interface with the real world, those changes become much faster as well. And again, you're going to experience this in a few minutes, and you're going to actually see how that works. Makes the brain work much harder, which makes it change faster, but in areas that are critical to real world. Another benefit of this training is we can actually get into flow state. So if you haven't heard of flow state, it basically means being in the zone. We've all been there once in a while, right? We're in the zone. Things are happening. We're not aware of them. And all of a sudden we're done. So these exercises actually optimize system 1, which is fast and unconscious, and system 2, which is slow and conscious thinking. This is one of our neuroscientists, consulting neuroscientists at Northwestern. And when you do these exercises, you get to that flow state where you're making decisions unconsciously, faster and better decisions, but you're not thinking about it. It goes back to that process model, right? So we want the mundane, the regular thinking to be unconscious. So now our conscious is free to make decisions it needs to, right? Sometimes we get overwhelmed with data saturation. If we're processing down here, now our conscious is free to look ahead, make better decisions, more thinking decisions like system 2 thinking, because system 1 is taken care of. So basically, applied neuroplasticity, this field we create is applying a process approach to changing the brain using neuroplasticity. So how did it go? Marines, very quickly give you some really quick results, and then I'll take you through the exercises. This was our first experiment. DoD authorized. We had a control platoon. We had the training platoon, which I asked to have the worst platoon in the battalion. These guys had lost 16 guys a cycle before. A lot of post-traumatic stress disorder. They were failing most of their objectives. 3 guys that tried to commit suicide. Worst platoon. That's 40 guys out of 1,000 a battalion. And so over those 3 months where I embedded with them and developed the exercises, they became not only the best platoon in the battalion, but when they went to their final pre-deployment training at 29 Palms, the instructor said it was the best performance he'd ever seen. incredible results very, very quickly. Blew us away. We had no idea we were able to get these results. From then, it spread kind of organically throughout the military. So I've been fortunate enough to train Navy SEALs, Army Rangers, helicopter pilots, Air Force pilots, snipers, anyone you can think of in the military where that performance is a matter of life and death. I've been fortunate enough to be able to train them over several years. And of course, many of those guys are also suffering from, PTSD if they've deployed a few times, who are overcoming, not only improving their performance, but also overcoming a lot of the other struggles that are holding them back. So from there, basically, military funding got cut about 10 years ago. So I went into the civilian sector. And again, there's two areas of people that benefit the most from this program. They're the people that are already high performers that are looking for an edge and are willing to do that. Guys like you, right? You want that edge to help you get better. And the other end of the spectrum are people who are really struggling from mental trauma. We talked a little bit about some people earlier, people with different types of brain trauma. So I'll give you a quick rundown of some of it. So Trevor Harris is a top quarterback in the Canadian Football League. After the first year I worked with him, his quarterback rating was 10 points higher than Tom Brady's. So again, he gets them into flow state. Same thing with teams. This was a professional indoor soccer team. The team comes together. Now that's not just for athletic teams, sales teams, executive teams, any type of team, military teams that do these exercises together, they bond at a kind of an unconscious level to improve their communication and their ability to be more efficient. Traders, I do a lot of work with traders, right? They've got to make those spot on decisions without any psychological baggage, right? No revenge trading, make the decision, move in and out very quickly. So a lot of work with traders. Also students. This is a program we did in an inner city school in Chicago, and incredible results, 3-point ACT improvement after just 8 weeks with a teacher. This is the first train-the-trainer program I did where I showed the teacher how to do the exercises. Cognitive recovery, one of the first ones. Tom got blown up. Thought he's never getting out of hospital. A month later, he was able to get out of the hospital, incredible Neuropsych score, and now he's training the operations officer for a battalion. Post brain surgery, Jill was an incredible, accomplished executive, chef, and equestrian. Brain surgery, a year later, she could barely remember how to do a recipe. After several months, her husband said it was the best thing that ever happened to her. And then she was able to cook Thanksgiving dinner for her entire family. So real world improvements by improving the brain. A lot of work with kids with learning disabilities, bipolar and depression, because we're making the brain go up instead of down. Really, which I actually see now with the whole COVID lockdown. Some of my clients have anxiety and depression. Amnesia, this is one of my current sessions. This is pretty amazing with Sarah. Very severe amnesia. Her doctor thought she might never be independent again. After 3 sessions, her doctor said it was amazed at her recovery, and now they're planning for her to be independent in a few months. And then as far as even coordination, learning disorders, Julie is another one of my current clients. Really incredible progress, not just in mentally, but also in physically, because we're reconnecting the brain to the rest of the body. So over the last 14 years now, anyone that we've ever worked with, again, they have to want to get better, right? So we have peak performers, we have people that want to get back up to normal. Incredible improvements very quickly. I just presented a neurology conference last week, and they always get blown away, right? Because in neurology conference, they're always talking about this research that might impact this one little protein they think might make a difference. And then I just show all these real world improvements, and it pretty much blows them away. So we're going to be probably speaking more to neurology conferences. So back to your brains. I just threw a whole bunch of stuff at you guys. Do you have any questions before I start you with the exercises? Anyone?
Hi, it's Paige.
Okay, hi Paige.
Hi, I saw something where you said something with neuroprimer and a neuropsych score.
Yes.
You know your neuropsych score, and what's a neuroprimer? I just saw.
Yeah, so a neuropsych score is just there's a number of them out there. It's a way of measuring a person's mental state as far as their ability to process information. So, you know, that one with Tom, I've worked with several people with concussions, and typically their neuropsych score is very low, depending on what the damage is. It could be from a concussion, it could be from, learning disabilities like Julia, but the before and after is what we're looking for, right? Now, it's interesting. No one I worked with has ever asked me for research, and a lot of the people that I work with, they've given up on traditional medicine, so it's all about getting better. But that score is just kind of a way to measure. Now, a neuroprimer is what you guys I'm gonna leave you guys with today, so you can use it, right? So a neuroprimer is something that gets your brain working faster and more focused very, very quickly. And you know, there's all kinds that claim to do that, right? You've got the Muse headset, you've got these different things, but we're actually going to stimulate your brain to be faster and more focused very, very quickly. Good questions. Anyone else?
I have a question.
Sure.
In my line of work, my background's not actually in tech, it's in education, and I'm just applying it to the tech field. In my line of work, we talk a lot about aligning for small kids, body, mind, and spirit from the beginning, and using that as a launch pad for future learning. So it's a very proactive approach. Let's set up for the best and then deal with what comes later if we have to, trying to avoid some of these challenges. And you're looking for that transformation from somebody who is already facing a challenge and moving forward. So do you feel like this type of processes could work in a proactive space as well?
No, excellent question. By the way, I was fascinated by your story too. We homeschooled my daughter. I did a lot of work. She actually was my very first guinea pig, I guess, doing these exercises when she was very young. And I've worked with young kids as young as probably 3 and 4 with variations of these exercises. And you're absolutely right. Proactive is huge. You know, a lot of, like, even with the Marines, you know, the guys who were struggling got better, but everyone got better. So people who were, you know, the whole purpose of it was to be a resiliency program so we could work with them pre-deployment, during deployment, and then post-deployment when they had to reintegrate. But some of the work you're doing is fascinating because you're right, that's 0 to 5 years. That's the critical time when our brains are just exploding with so many connections, right? And then the foundation you're giving them is pretty much going to serve them for the rest of their life. So yeah, and we should talk about that if you'd like, because what you'll see as we go through these exercises, I'm not going to teach you anything. We're just going to actually train your brain to do things better and more efficiently. So wherever you are on the mental spectrum, you know, wherever it is, proactive, reactive, whatever, it's going to make a difference.
Oh, I'm excited about that.
Yeah, good questions. Anyone else?
Yeah, John Kennedy, this is Rick Taylor. Thank you so much for the information that you presented so far. Wisdom comes from many different sources. At the end of the presentation, will you provide any scientific publications related to your approach?
You know, I have them. I don't, as I said, nobody ever asked me for those. I have to get out there. I've got a stack of requests for articles based really on my speaking. So I speak at maybe 2 now, probably more neurology, brain disorders conferences every year. And presented, I used to present a lot of conferences as well. So it's there, I just haven't taken the time. I mean, I could send you links to hundreds of articles if you'd like. I haven't written one myself because I'm too busy actually working with people than to do that. But along the way, I've been fortunate to have several neuroscientists help me, like Sherry from Northwestern, another friend of mine at the Martino Center in Harvard, one of the top imaging. You'll experience this. He says this could be one of the most powerful anti-aging programs because according to his research, we're increasing the blood flow through the brain when we do these exercises. And one of the reasons that we lose our memory as we get older is because the neurons die, because the capillaries, they dry out, right? So when you increase brain flow through the brain, one, you stop the loss of neurons, but you can also create neurogenesis. So we've got tons of that kind of research that I use. One of the issues I have, so in the medical field, it's all research-based. So it could take 17 years to come up with something. I was fortunate enough, just because of that immediate circumstances for the Marines, to be able to develop it first, and then I just backfill it with the research.
Could you say what journals the publications appear? The name of the journals, just a couple.
No, I mean, I don't know what you're asking me. I mean, I have the request to write for those journals. I can send those to you if you want. I just don't, it's not a good use of my time to my clients to do all the research, because it works, which you'll experience. But I'd be happy to send you, I mean, I've got a 3-ring binder that's that thick of research I've collected over the years. And I can send you the deck I gave to the neurology conference if you'd like. I mean, there's some of the research is there, but again, of the probably 75, maybe 8,000 people I've worked with in 14 years, no one has ever asked for the research. So, but please, send me an email. I'll be happy to send you what I have, or you can, certainly welcome to do your own research as well. But for example, one of the things we get to it will be, well, and as we go through it, I can mention some of the research that relates to what we're doing, but I don't. That's not kind of what I do. I don't write about it. I do it, but it's a legitimate question. Most of the people that are asked about that are in the medical field. No one who I work with has ever asked about it. But it's on my list. I got to write some stuff. Any other questions? All right, you guys are ready to get started, okay? I want to take you through, I want to get you through as much of this as we can, because I really want you guys to experience this and have a tool that you can use for yourself. So this is where everybody needs to unmute themselves and ideally open up your cameras as well, because the more that you can see other people, ideally, this is in a group. If you're all sitting in a room together, would be ideal, right? But the next best is for you all to see each other and hear each other.
Is there a way for us to all see each other while we're in screen share mode?
Can you see each other now?
No.
I
Yeah,
mean,
you can use the grid or the grid
Gallery.
option.
Yeah. Is there a way to change your view so you can see everybody and also the screen?
Yeah, if you hit standard, it'll show not everybody, but
Yeah, so we're on, we all signed in through Eventbrite, and it doesn't give us any control over our Zoom.
oh, you see the Zoom? You don't get the little, yeah, you do. You see in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see a thing that says view.
We don't have that if you're.
Did any of you sign in with Zoom?
Signed in through Eventbrite.
You did. So if you, I just figured this out. If you signed in with Zoom, there's a pull bar.
Oh, right.
And you can expand your grid view, your gallery view to see everybody, but it's a Zoom only, I think.
So that work? Yeah, I mean, I did, because I know in the past people can see each other, and we obviously want you all to hear each other and ideally see each other as well.
Yep.
Can you see each other?
From my side, it looks like everyone's on Zoom.
Yep,
So
I can see.
I'm pretty sure that's the Zoom link that I put in the chat.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
this link.
Yeah, everyone, according to the admins panel, everyone's on Zoom.
Yes.
Okay, can everybody unmute and open your cameras? There we go. I'm getting there. You guys are unmuting, that's great. There you go. Let's see some faces. It's, it's pretend you're like all in a room together, right? It's good to see smiling faces. I guarantee you'll smile when we do this, so. All right, you guys, you ready to get ready, started?
Yes.
All right, so this is the basic exercise. It's a variation of the original one we designed for the Marine Corps. And as you can see, it's just arrows on a piece of paper. You guys can see that?
Yes.
Arrows? Okay, good. Now, why an arrow? We use an arrow because it's the simplest symbol that requires a decision. When you look at an arrow, you typically define it by what direction it's pointing. And then if you add color, you can make two different decisions off the same symbol, right? So this very, very simple sheet we use for Navy SEALs, we use for third graders, fourth graders, kids, it doesn't matter, right? Because everybody can identify an arrow. Now, what I want you to do is look at the arrow in the upper left-hand corner and tell me what color it is.
Red.
Very good. And what direction is it pointing?
Right.
Right.
All right, you guys all passed the first test. You all have a brain. We can keep going, right? So what did I ask you to do? In order to do what I asked you to do, you had to focus on the one arrow I asked for, strip everything out. You had to break it down into what that shape was and what color it was. You had to think through color or direction, and then you executed on color or direction, whatever I asked for. That basic break it down, think it through, and execute process underlies everything you do, all your thoughts, everything. So we're going to make that process stronger and faster so that you will be able to make better decisions, more efficient decisions in your life. So the first thing we're going to do, and this is why it's important that everybody unmute themselves, we're going to get a baseline. I do this with every group. I do it with hundreds of people in an audience. I do it with hundreds of people on Zoom. I do it with individuals. We always want a baseline. And so the way we do that is I'm going to ask all of you to read off all the arrows on the page, just like you're reading a book. So left to right, left to right, left to right, left to right, the whole page, but only directions, not not colors. So right, left, down, up, for example, is the first four. Try not to use your finger on the screen. Try to use your eyes. You want the data to come with your eyes. Left to right, all the way down. And in order to simulate kind of the stresses of real life, we're going to make it a race. Okay? So when I say go, I want all of you to do that as fast as you can. And when you get to the last one, just raise your hand. And we're just going to take a range of time, because this will demonstrate to you your current ability to think efficiently.
The whole page?
The whole page. Yep. Left to right, the whole page.
We just say the direction, not the color.
Yes, only the direction.
Okay.
Everybody ready?
Yeah.
And go.
Right,
Right,
left,
left,
down, up, right,
up,
right,
right,
down,
right,
up, down, left,
down,
left,
down,
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 left,
down,
down,
up,
right,
down,
down,
right,
left,
right,
right,
down,
down,
right,
right,
up,
up,
down,
left,
right,
down,
down,
left,
down,
right,
down, down,
left,
right,
up,
down,
right,
left,
right,
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 down,
right,
left,
down,
right,
right,
up,
left,
left, up,
right,
right,
down,
right,
right,
up,
right,
right,
up,
down,
right,
right,
up,
down,
right,
over,
up,
up,
down,
left, down,
up,
left,
left,
down,
down,
down, up,
left,
up,
down,
left,
right,
up,
right,
right, left,
left,
down,
right,
up,
up,
right,
down,
up,
down,
left,
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 right,
down, up,
down,
right,
down,
left,
up,
left,
down,
down,
right,
right,
down,
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 right,
over,
down,
right,
up,
down,
left,
down,
down,
left,
left,
down,
down,
down, left,
up,
down,
right,
down,
down,
right,
down,
right,
up,
down,
left,
right,
left,
right,
right,
down,
left,
right,
right,
down,
right,
right,
down,
up,
left, left,
left,
up,
right,
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 down,
up,
left,
up,
right,
down,
up,
left,
up,
down,
right,
left,
right,
left,
up,
up,
down,
right,
right,
up,
up, left,
down, up,
right,
right,
down,
down,
up,
left,
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 right,
down, left,
up,
down,
right,
down,
right,
right,
down,
left,
down, up,
left,
left,
down,
left,
left,
down,
down.
left, down.
All right. Okay, very good. So about a 103 to about 117, very normal range. But if you notice, it was really hard, right? I mean, some of you might have given up. I couldn't see all the faces. When I do this in a room with a couple hundred people, halfway through, half the people stop because they're so frustrated because there's a lot of data that's coming into your brain at the same time, right? And we lose focus. It's very hard for us to process. So now let's do some brain training and see if we can make a difference. So
what does it mean if you start to like it?
you start to like it? That's good. It is good. So, there's so much going on in the brain when we do this. One of the things is every time I give you a challenge, right, there's a little dopamine release. So you start to feel really good when you do this, right? There's some dopamine when you finish it, endorphins. So all these things are happening in your brain at the same time. And it's great that you like it. Most people laugh when they're doing this. So that's a good thing. It's always a good thing. That's also good for your brain, right? Laughter is the best medicine. So let's do some training. So now you see there's only 4 columns across. And we're going to start targeting different parts of executive function. The first is anticipation, which is what we try to create for those Marines, right? If you can anticipate that something's coming, even a fraction of a second, it gives you a huge edge in processing. And because direction and color are 2 different parts of the brain, we're just going to add a color at the end. So you just did all directions. This time it will be direction, 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 color. Okay, so right, left, down, blue will be the first row. I'll say the first row with you guys to get you started, but then you guys keep going. Now, the other difference with this is not a race. Very important. You have to try to keep together with everybody else. Okay, this has a huge cognitive overload, right? Because you have to be able to pay attention to everybody else while you're still executing. But this is also why this is so powerful as a team building exercise, because you have to regulate yourself. If you're too fast, you got to slow down. Too slow, you got to speed up. You got to regulate with everybody, say them together. Now, in order to do that, it's also very important that you don't stop if you make a mistake. We're all been on teams where someone makes a mistake, they spend so much time figuring out what went wrong, and everybody loses momentum. So it's better to make your mistake and keep going with everybody else than it is to stop and try to correct your mistake. That's huge for most people, right? This is great for self-confidence, because how often do we think, oh, we got to fix my mistake? Anytime you make a mistake in this program, you don't have to stop, you just keep going. Okay, so everybody ready? So it's going to be right, left, down, blue, and I'll say that first row with you, and you guys go the rest of the row together. Ready? Let's go. Right,
left, down, blue,
left, down, blue, down, right,
down, left,
green,
Blue,
right, left, yellow, green,
right,
yellow,
left,
up, left, down, blue, left, up, up,
Yellow.
right,
together, all together.
okay.
right,
Down, up,
left,
right,
green,
down,
blue,
red,
right,
left,
yellow, left,
green,
left,
yellow,
green,
down,
up,
left,
down, yellow,
down,
yellow,
up, right, blue,
down,
down, down,
down,
yellow,
up, right,
right, down,
left,
red,
down,
left,
down,
green,
yellow,
right, blue,
right,
up,
down,
down,
red,
left, green,
left,
up,
blue,
right,
up,
blue, up,
Yellow, red,
green, down,
up,
left, green,
red,
down, green, right, red.
Right, down, red.
Okay, so you got through it, right? But it's very hard to stay together, right? So that's really important. That's why it's better to make a mistake and stay together. But it's very normal, right? The first time is harder, but as we keep doing a different one, you're going to find it gets easier to stay together. So that was anticipation. The next part of executive function that's very important is pattern recognition, right? Recognizing patterns. That's huge for conversations. Obviously, Carrie, you're training kids, right? They're recognizing patterns. It's important for learning. It's important for sports, whatever it is. And what we're going to do is a very simple pattern, just direction, color, direction, color. Okay, now it's also a little bit of memory, because if you say direction, you have to remember the next one's going to be color. If you say color, the next one's going to be direction. So right, yellow, down, blue would be the first
Color,
the first 4, right? The first row, right, yellow, down, blue.
right,
All right, and I'll let you get started again. Go a little bit slower and try to stay together. So ready? Let's go. Right,
Yellow,
yellow, down, blue, down,
down,
red,
red,
up,
up,
green,
green, down,
yellow,
down,
red,
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 right,
up,
blue,
left,
left,
red,
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 left,
left,
yellow,
blue,
yellow,
right,
yellow,
up, below,
down,
down,
left,
blue,
down, blue,
up,
right,
red,
green, right, red,
blue,
yellow,
green,
down,
blue,
left,
right,
blue,
up,
yellow, up, yellow, left, red,
down, green,
red,
right,
down, green,
left,
right,
blue,
left,
yellow,
blue,
right,
down,
below,
yellow,
red,
yellow,
green,
down,
left,
left,
green,
right, blue,
green,
green,
red,
green, down, green, right,
Up, green.
Okay. Okay, good. So that was harder, right? One of the reasons it was harder is required focus. I didn't tell you this. One of the most powerful benefits of this program is focus. Because all your brain's doing is saying silly arrows, but in order to do it, you have to focus. So it's huge for kids with ADHD and all kinds of stuff, right? We all have trouble focusing. This will improve your focus. Now, just to kind of reiterate some things I said before, one, it's very important you say it out loud, not just because everybody else is, but if you don't say it out loud, you're only using your eyes. We want the connections from your brain to your eyes, ears, and mouth all to get stronger as well. So very important you say it together, and also very important you try to stay together, right? It's not a race. Some are naturally faster, some are slower. The mental work is staying together. It's a huge amount of, you're not even aware of it, but it's a huge amount of mental effort to split your focus, right, between everybody else and also what you're doing. So very good so far, right? Just do you remember those two things? Make sure you do it out loud and make sure you stay together with everybody else. All right, the third part of executive function you want to work is working memory, holding something in your short-term memory and executing on it. In order to do that, we're actually just going to translate the colors to fruit. Okay, and you have to remember the fruit. You won't need to write this down. You'll remember after the first row or two, but the colors will correspond with the fruit. So red is apple, yellow is banana, green is lime, and blue is blueberry. So apple, banana, lime, blueberry will be the first row, and just go all the way down the page, only saying the fruit all together.
Okay.
Everybody ready? And I'll lead you off for the first row. Let's go. Apple,
banana, lime, blueberry,
blueberry,
lime, apple, lime, blueberry, banana,
banana, lime,
apple, blueberry, banana,
blueberry,
apple,
apple,
banana,
banana,
blueberry,
lime,
blueberry,
banana,
berry,
lime, blueberry,
berry,
apple,
apple,
apple, banana, blueberry, lime, lime, banana, blueberry, apple,
blueberry,
banana,
blueberry, apple, lime, banana, blueberry, blueberry, lime, apple, lime, blueberry, lime, apple,
Okay, good, good. A little better there. So I see some people still muted. It's okay, but you want to make sure you say it out loud. You make sure you say it out loud. Very, very important. You also realize that each time we do this, it takes focus, right? So you want to make sure that you're focusing on what we're doing here, because that's actually how you train your brain to focus. So now let's start combining these. The first one we did was direction, 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 color. This time we're going to go direction, 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 fruit. When we just did, so anticipation and memory. Okay, so right, left, down, blueberry will be the first row. I'll get you guys started again. Everybody ready? All together. Let's go. Right,
right,
left,
left,
down,
down,
blueberry,
blueberry,
Down,
down,
right,
right, up,
lime,
line,
left,
down, left,
down, apple,
apple,
right,
right,
up,
up,
left,
left,
apple,
left,
left,
banana,
down,
up,
left,
down,
blueberry,
right,
up,
up,
right,
right,
apple,
apple,
left,
left,
down,
down,
left,
left,
line,
up,
up,
right,
down,
up,
banana,
banana,
left,
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 down,
down,
apple,
apple,
down,
down,
up,
up,
right,
right,
blueberry,
right,
left,
down,
banana,
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 right,
right,
down,
right,
apple,
right,
apple,
blueberry,
left,
up,
right,
lime,
blueberry, up,
down,
down,
right,
left,
lime,
lime, down,
down,
up,
up, right, apple.
apple.
All right, nice job. You guys got in sync at the end there. That was really good, right? So that's a lot of work your brain's doing. But it's kind of hard on someone's on Zoom, but you might have noticed this. I could hear when I listened to some of you, that was actually smoother than the first one with the color, right? There's a reason for that. All the work that we're doing here, your brain's doing. All you're doing is saying silly arrows, and your brain is doing what it needs to do what we ask it to do. So when it was the color, is just a different part of your brain. When it was the fruit, your brain had to look ahead, see the color, translate it to fruit, which means the regular directions it doesn't really think about. It starts to push them in the unconscious. That's how we start to create that flow state. And as we keep going, you're going to realize that the regular arrows, more and more, even though they're a decision that might have been hard in the beginning, are going to become very easy because you're not even thinking about it, because you're focused on what's coming ahead. So the other thing, as I mentioned, every time we do one of these, it's a little bit harder. That's for the dopamine release, but there's another very important reason we make the brain work harder each time. The changes that happen from this program, as the research said, start to happen immediately. They also start to solidify in as little as 20 minutes. So you will leave with different brains when you start it. But one of those changes that's so important is that this load, the brain will respond to the load. Just like our muscles get stronger from weights, our brains are the same way, except instead of getting stronger like muscles, they increase the number of postsynaptic receptors. All that means is the neuron can accept more neurotransmitters jumping across the synaptic cleft when we're processing information. So if you have 100 buckets against the wall, you throw 500 balls against it, you catch 100 balls. If you have 200 buckets, you'll catch 200 balls. And so when we are making the brain respond this way by taking more information, it's like increasing the bandwidth of your network, right? Going from dial-up to DSL or cable, because there's more data happening in the same time. And the cool thing is those changes will happen wherever there's tension. So every one of you may be struggling in slightly different areas. If we do that, that's where your brain will change fastest, so that overall, everything you do will become more efficient. So that's why it's a little bit harder each time. All that to say, this next one's going to be harder, okay? So we'll keep the fruit at the end, but the second column will bring the color back in. So we have all three variables. So direction, color, direction, fruit.
Okay.
Okay, and I'll lead you guys off again. Keep going, but make a mistake, just keep going. You did a really nice job of staying all together at the end. Try to do that the whole way down. You ready?
Right.
Let's go. Right,
Yellow, down, blueberry,
Blueberry,
down, red, up,
lime,
down,
yellow,
apple,
right,
left,
Apple,
left,
up,
green,
up,
up,
yellow,
banana,
banana,
yellow,
down,
down,
right,
blueberry, right,
right,
green,
apple,
right,
left, blueberry,
left,
apple,
blue,
left,
left,
down,
lime,
left,
banana,
up,
up,
yellow,
Right.
up,
Yellow,
banana,
up,
left,
down,
banana,
red,
red,
apple,
red,
down,
down,
green,
apple,
right,
down,
blueberry,
lime,
left,
right,
right,
blueberry,
blueberry,
down,
left,
banana,
blue,
right,
down,
yellow,
banana,
apple,
right,
left,
yellow,
green,
down, apple,
right,
apple,
blueberry,
left,
All together, all together.
right,
blueberry,
blueberry, up,
down,
green,
right,
left,
apple,
lime,
down,
down,
green,
right,
right,
apple.
apple.
All right, that was really hard, right? Those are hard. No, so if I'd started with that one, you all would have said you had another meeting to go to, right? You would have disappeared. But because each one is a little bit harder, you're able to accomplish it, your confidence and ability to do the harder one increases. I mean, that was really hard. The only reason you could do that as well as you did is because your brain is changing every step along the way. So let's open the page up all the way. Oh, I'm sorry, here. It's, oops, here we go. So the page is open again. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to go back and add the anticipation piece. We're going to spread out what you just did. So the fourth column by that line will be the color, and the last column will be the fruit. So direction, 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 color, direction, 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 fruit. Okay, all together. Now, here's the thing, because it's a larger page, sometimes it's easier to get lost. If you ever get lost, it's okay. In fact, anytime in life you get lost, we want a strategy to get back on track, right? So if you get lost, just go down to the next row. And as soon as they say the color, then you know where you are, right? And you just jump right back in again. Because like everything else in life, we never want to give up. We want to find a way to keep going. So if you get lost, which happens, just go down to the next row, wait for everybody else and to catch up and just jump in. All right. So, and I'll lead you off again. Direction, 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 color, direction, 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 fruit. Ready? And let's go. Right,
Right,
left,
down,
blue,
up, right,
up,
banana,
down,
Right,
up,
green,
lime,
left,
left, down, apple,
down,
down,
left,
down,
down,
red,
red,
down,
up, right,
below,
blueberry,
blueberry,
right, up,
up,
left, red,
banana,
left,
down,
down, banana,
banana,
left,
Left,
up,
yellow,
yellow,
right,
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 down,
down,
apple,
apple,
up, left,
left,
down,
blue,
left,
up,
up,
right,
right, blueberry,
right,
right, up, right, red, up,
down,
left, or down, apple,
yellow,
lime,
left,
left,
blueberry,
down, left, green,
blue, red,
down,
down,
up,
up,
right,
up,
apple,
lime,
up,
down,
right,
yellow,
up,
blue,
right,
left, down,
right,
left,
left,
down,
down,
yellow,
lime,
left,
down,
left,
down,
down,
right,
red,
right,
down,
lime,
right,
red,
up,
left,
lime,
right,
down,
up,
up,
right,
down,
blue,
left,
down,
apple,
left,
down,
yellow,
left,
right,
down,
left,
down,
down,
yellow,
right,
right,
up,
up,
left,
left,
right,
red,
right,
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 down,
down,
red,
left,
left, up,
up,
banana,
banana,
left,
left,
right,
up,
blue,
right,
blue,
up,
up,
left,
left,
down,
down, blueberry,
blueberry,
up,
up,
down,
down,
left,
left,
green,
blue,
right,
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 up,
up,
Right.
right,
Banana.
apple,
Down.
down, up,
Right.
yeah,
Red.
right,
Left.
left,
Down.
down,
Left.
left,
Line.
line.
All right, that was really hard. You guys got through it great, right? So some of you might have struggled a little bit, but you got through it, which is really important. So now let's just go back and do what we did in the beginning. Remember we did that baseline where I had you do the race as fast as you could. Let's try it again and see if we notice any differences. So I'll time you again, and then you be aware, but same thing, right? So it's a race as fast as you can, only the directions, left to right, no color, no fruit. Raise your hand when you're done, so I know when to start, so we get a range of the times. And I'll give you a hint this time, because it's a race, it'll be better for you if you go louder.
Do you guys want to see, you want to know something really funny? It's going to make you giggle.
Sure.
I'm in a co-working space right now.
Okay.
I must sound ridiculous.
I'll tell you, it's funny. Before COVID, when we met live, I used to do a lot of executive teams and sales teams, usually in the conference room of an office building. And everybody's doing this. You got 10, 15 people doing it at the same time. And everybody is looking on the outside thinking there's some kind of cult or something. So definitely I can understand that for sure. For sure.
The cult of flow.
Yes, the cult of flow. There we go, Bonnie. That's right. Okay, ready? When I say go, fast as you can, not together, fast as you can, tune everybody else out, raise your hand when you're done. On your mark, get set, go.
Right,
Right,
left,
left,
up,
Left,
Up,
right,
right,
down,
right,
up,
right,
left,
down, left,
down, left,
down,
down, right,
down,
down,
left,
up, right,
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 up,
left,
right,
down, down, right,
up,
left,
left,
down,
right,
down, right, left,
up,
up,
right,
right,
up,
right,
down,
up,
Down.
right,
Left.
down,
left, right,
right, up,
up,
right,
Right.
down, left,
up,
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 right,
down, left,
down,
Right.
down, up,
Right.
left,
up,
left,
left,
right, straight,
down,
down, up,
right,
left, right, down, left, down, right,
Left.
right,
down,
down,
down, up, down, left,
Down.
right,
Left.
left,
right,
down, right, right,
Down.
up,
Right. Down.
right,
Right.
down,
down,
left, left, up,
right,
right,
left,
Left. Up.
right,
Down. Right.
right,
down, up,
right, right,
down, left,
right,
Left.
up,
down,
right,
Left.
up,
down, up, right, left,
down,
left,
Right.
up,
Down.
right,
Down.
up,
Right.
down, right,
down,
Down.
up,
Up.
up,
Down. Left. Down. Right. Left.
up, right, right, up, right,
Down.
left,
Right.
left,
Left.
left, left,
Down.
down.
Left. Right. Left.
Down, up, right, left, down, left, down.
That's all right. All right, great, great. So everything time-wise moved to the left, right? About 5 seconds faster on the front end, about 5 seconds faster. But didn't you notice a difference? Wasn't that much easier? You were able to stay focused. I could see all of you. You were focused. You were getting it done. That's what happens when we change your brain so quickly, right? So you're much more focused. Your brain is now better able to handle whatever you're doing during the day. Now, if you guys have about 15, 20 more minutes, there's another very important part of the brain I'd like to add. So if you have to drop off, I understand it's 11, whatever your time, but the other part of the brain you want to engage that's really important are your hands for two very important reasons. Almost everything we do is with our hands, typing, throwing a ball, driving a car, but just as important, the left side of the brain controls the right side of the body and vice versa. So if we can engage both of your hands at the same time, we're also increasing right brain, left brain connections, right? Some fascinating research. Well, I'll ask you guys, what profession do you think has the most efficient right brain, left brain connections?
Navy
Kara?
SEALs.
Monique, I'm sorry. Kara?
I have to tell you that I was just thinking about this because I am a trained interpreter and fluent in American Sign Language. And as I was doing this, I was like, I'm using my interpreting skills right now to predict what's coming next.
Very good. That's excellent. Monique, what did you think?
Navy SEALs.
Actually, believe it or not, it's professional drummers. Because they're doing different things with each hand while they're thinking. And that's what's creating these the improvement in both sides. I have 2 clients, one with a stroke on the corpus callosum and one with a severe concussion, same area, right? That's the part of the brain where right brain, left brain meet. And by engaging hands, we've really been able to overcome some of the damage from that. So that's why we're going to do this when we're going to use your hands. So this is what I want you to do. Let's do the full page that you just did. Okay, not a race. So I want you to stay, again, staying together adds a lot of cognitive overhead, but it gets easier as you keep going. But I want you to tap both of your hands together on your table or on your legs or something. In other words, we want the sensation of touch to hit your brain at the same time it's making a decision. So now we're using all 4 lobes, memory, and both hemispheres simultaneously, which is where all these improvements come from. All right, so I'll let you guys start off this time instead of me. One of you guys just start it off. You can count down. You know, you've done this a bit, so you can go kind of fast if you want, whatever's comfortable for you. But all together and both hands tapping on something, 1 tap per arrow.
Okay.
Everybody ready? All right, someone lead us off.
1, 2, 3, go. Right,
Right,
down,
up,
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 right,
up,
right,
down,
right,
up,
down,
left,
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 down, left,
left,
down,
left,
down,
right,
right,
down,
up,
right,
right,
down,
right,
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 left,
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 down,
down,
right, left,
left,
up,
up,
right,
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 down,
left,
up,
left,
down,
down,
up,
left,
left,
up,
right,
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 up,
right,
right, up,
down,
left,
left,
down,
up,
up,
left,
down,
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 left,
left,
down,
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 up,
right,
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 left,
left,
up,
right,
right,
up,
up,
right,
right,
left,
down,
down,
up,
left,
left,
down,
down,
left,
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 down,
down,
right,
right,
up,
up,
left,
down,
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 right,
up,
right, down,
right,
down,
down,
right,
down, right,
down,
left,
right,
down,
left,
right,
down,
right,
down,
up,
down,
left, left,
right,
down,
right,
left,
right,
left,
down,
left,
left, left,
right,
up,
right,
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 down,
left,
left,
up,
left,
right,
down,
left,
up,
left,
right,
left,
left,
down,
up,
right,
right,
up,
up,
Right.
down,
right,
left,
Down.
right,
down,
up,
left,
right,
down,
Down.
right,
Left.
down, up, right,
right,
left,
up,
Left.
right,
down,
right,
left,
down,
right,
up, right,
right,
left,
down, up,
down, left,
right,
down.
left, down, left.
We lost some people there. That's okay. That's okay. Believe me, it's really hard. Even if I have a large group of people, every time you add a variable, their ability to stay together shifts, right? Because your brain has to do the selective focus, but after a while, they get right in sync again. So as I always say, anytime you struggle or anytime you make a mistake, don't worry about it. That's the area your brain's going to improve the fastest. What if I sent you a text, you're using your fingers, you can do your face if you want, but just try to do as many fingers as you can. There you go. To get that sensation going.
Okay.
All right, good. So now with that tapping, let's go back and do the 4th column color and the last column fruit again. The reason for that is right now we're kind of in sync, right? And your brain is thinking about your hands. Neuroscientists have a term, kids love this, actually called zombie thinking, right? Because zombies are walking around like they want to kill you, but they're not thinking about it. So we want to create two completely different zombie systems in sync. In other words, we want your brain doing what it needs to do unconsciously while your hands are doing unconsciously. You're not thinking about it. And a good example of a zombie system is the first time you learn to drive a car. It takes all your cognitive effort to keep the car on the road. Now you drive a car without thinking about it. It's the same amount of effort, but your brain has put it down in the unconscious where it's more efficient. So when we do this, your hands have to keep going, you know, by themselves while your brain looks ahead to the color and the fruit. Okay, again, if you make a mistake, don't worry about it. And if you need to you get lost, just jump back in down lower. All right, everybody ready? And whoever did it before can start us again. Was that Natasha? Yeah, go ahead.
1, 2, 3, go. Right,
left,
down,
blue, up, right,
yellow,
blue,
left,
banana,
right,
down,
down, right, up,
right,
green,
down,
left,
down,
down, apple, down, left, down, red, down,
up,
right, blueberry,
blueberry,
right,
right,
left,
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 red,
down,
left,
banana,
right,
left,
banana,
up,
left,
yellow, right,
up,
right,
yellow, right,
up,
down, apple,
blue,
up,
left,
down,
blue,
blueberry,
left,
lime,
up,
right, blueberry,
red,
right, up,
down,
right,
down,
right,
left,
down,
left, down,
lime, left,
up,
down,
apple,
left,
green, right,
down,
yellow,
right,
left, down, blueberry, left,
yellow,
down,
right,
red,
left, down,
right,
blueberry,
up,
left,
lime,
left,
down,
down,
up,
red,
right,
down, right,
down,
up,
left,
lime, down, up,
blue,
blue,
yellow,
down,
right, up,
down,
left, apple,
apple,
right,
left,
right,
down,
down, red,
yellow,
right, up,
up,
left,
banana, left,
apple,
up,
right,
right,
yellow,
blue,
down,
up,
red,
left, down,
left,
blueberry,
up,
up, down,
banana,
left, green,
left,
right,
up,
up,
right,
right, apple,
blue,
down,
up,
up,
left,
right,
down,
red, left,
blueberry,
down,
up,
left,
down,
lime,
left,
green,
green,
right,
up,
up,
right,
apple, down,
up,
up,
right,
red,
red,
left, down, left,
lime.
lime.
Very good, very good. Now, again, each time we're doing it, if you struggle with this, I guarantee you the next time you try this, it'll be much easier. So let's do one other fun thing with your hands. Where are we going? Here. So on the half page, what I want you to do is just say the regular arrows, no color, no fruit, regular direction, and tapping both hands together. But every blue arrow, I want you to double tap when you say it. Now, this is a lot harder than if you were to say blue. I still want you to say the direction, and I only want you to say it once. So the variation is completely with our hands. So right, left, down, up, like that. Okay? So whole half page, double tap on every blue arrow. Tapping.
Whole half page?
Yes, this the whole half page, the one that's up. Whole half
Okay,
page.
okay.
Tap.
Do we have to stay together?
Yeah, yes, try to stay together. Yes, sorry, thank you. Stay together. One tap on each arrow, double tap on blue. And again, if you make a mistake, a lot of people make mistakes. Don't worry about it. Just keep going.
Okay.
Ready? All right. Someone started us off, Natasha.
Natasha.
1, 2, 3, go. Right,
Right,
Left,
left,
down,
Down,
up,
up,
down,
down,
right,
right,
up,
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 down,
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 left,
left,
down,
down,
right,
down,
right,
right,
up,
right,
left,
right,
left,
up,
left,
left,
right,
up,
left,
right,
left,
up,
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 left, down,
right,
up,
up,
right,
left,
right,
left,
down,
right,
up,
right,
right,
left, down,
up,
right,
right,
up,
left,
right,
down,
right,
left,
left,
down,
left,
up,
right,
left,
left,
down, up,
right,
right,
left,
down,
left,
down,
down,
left,
down, right,
down,
right,
up,
right,
down,
right,
left,
down,
left,
left,
up, right,
down,
down,
down, right,
left,
right,
up,
Right,
down,
right,
down,
down,
right,
left,
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 left, up,
up,
right,
right,
up,
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 down,
down, left, up, down,
down,
up,
up,
right,
right,
left.
left.
All right, good, good, hard, right? By the way, I want to address you, Rick. You made a comment that you were able to think of something else when we do the arrows, which is you very want to get to. I don't know if you're able to do it for this one, right? So the goal is when we do these, it takes a lot of focus, takes a lot of coordination, try to re-engage all those connections. But as you get more efficient, you'll find you'll be able to actually be able to consciously think of things while your unconscious is making all these decisions. So that was good, right? So again, try to stay together. We're gonna do the opposite this time. No double tap, but every yellow arrow, no tap. Okay, this is really important for, we call it inhibitory executive function or impulse control. So very important for kids, the high school kids I work with, right? So right, left, down, up. Okay, one tap on everything, no tap on yellow. Okay, a couple more, we'll be done. We're almost done.
Okay. Jesus Christ.
All right, all together.
Okay.
Natasha,
1, 2, 3, go. Right,
Right,
left,
left,
right, left,
Down,
down, up,
right,
down,
right,
right,
up,
up,
down,
down,
right,
down,
down,
left,
left, down,
down,
right,
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 up,
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 left,
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 up,
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 right,
right,
left,
up,
down,
up,
up,
left,
left,
down,
down,
up,
up,
right,
up,
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 right,
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 left,
left,
down,
down,
left,
left,
down,
down,
right,
up,
up,
right,
left,
right,
up,
right,
up,
right,
right, left,
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 right,
down, left,
left,
down,
down, up,
right,
right,
down,
down,
left,
left,
down,
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 right,
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 left,
right,
left,
down,
down,
left,
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 up,
up,
right,
right,
up,
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 down,
down, left,
up,
up,
down,
down,
up,
up,
right,
right, left.
left.
all right, very good, very good. By the way, Karen, you mentioned reminds you of music, right? So I've actually worked with a number of musicians, composers, songwriters, and it's very similar to music, right? The whole getting your brain and all these things. What we're doing is just compressing that. So that's why I keep telling you guys, don't get discouraged if this is hard, because I absolutely positively guarantee you, if you do this, you go through all the way through as we're doing, even if you struggle, make mistakes, we don't care. you're changing your brain, and it's gonna make a difference. So always keep going. So 2 more will be done. So this next one, you know what we're gonna do, right? We're gonna add the double tap and the no tap. So double tap on blue, no tap on yellow, 1 tap on everything else. Okay, everybody ready? Understand that? So
Say the instructions again. Say the instructions.
yes. So we're gonna tap and say the directions like you just did, but we're gonna combine those two. So no tap on yellow, double tap on blue.
Okay, no, okay.
All right, get us started.
1, 2, 3, go. Right,
Right,
left,
left,
down,
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 up,
right,
down,
up,
right,
down,
up,
down,
down,
left,
down,
right,
right,
up,
up,
left,
right,
down,
left,
up,
down,
right,
right, up, left, down,
up,
down,
right,
right,
up,
right,
right, left,
down,
left,
down,
down,
up,
right,
right,
up,
right,
left,
left,
down,
left,
down,
down, up,
up,
right,
down,
up,
left,
down,
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 right,
right,
down,
down,
left,
left,
up, right,
up,
up,
down, left,
left, up,
down,
up, right,
left.
All right, excellent. Very good. There's a lot of work going on there, right? This is part of what a 5-step neuroprimer we created a couple of years ago, where we bring all the parts of the brain together, working hard in a very short amount of time. So those changes happen incredibly fast. Okay, last one, and then we'll do, I'll take you through some stuff to finish up. But the last one we'll do is we'll go back to this, the baseline, right? So once again, I'll time you as fast as you can, only directions, but this time with your tapping. We want to see if your tapping is slowing you down at all. Okay, so it's a race, just like before. Just raise your hand when you're done so I can get an idea of the range. Fast as you can, only directions. The only difference is we're adding the tapping.
both taps.
Actually, only the 1 tap per arrow.
Okay.
No double tap, no tap, just 1 tap per. And this is actually very important. This is going to be the 1-minute neuroprimer I'll tell you about. So as fast as you can, loud as you want, tapping both hands together each time you see the arrow. Just raise your hand when you're done.
Does it matter which order?
What do you mean?
Can I go all the way across on the first line and then the second line? Or do
Well, we want all this one left to right. We actually do some where we go different variations right to left. That's a good way you can add that, actually. In fact, I learned that from the snipers. We observe more going right to left because our brains fill in stuff going left to right. But this is all about speed. What we're trying to do is get your brain used to a faster processing speed. You'll find as you go faster and faster at this, you start to look way ahead, right? And so you look ahead and then you see it, you remember it, and you're executing not what you see, but what you just passed.
Okay.
There's a bunch of roadblocks. So this is left to right. Good question though, right? So left to right, fast as you can with your tapping.
Okay.
On your mark, get set, go.
right,
left,
left,
down, up, right,
down, up,
down,
up,
right,
right, up,
down,
right,
left, down,
down,
left,
right,
down,
up,
left, down, right,
down,
down,
left,
up,
left,
down, up,
left,
down,
down,
right,
left,
up, left,
down,
left,
right,
left, down, down,
up,
right, left,
right,
up,
down,
right,
right,
right, down,
left,
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 up,
left,
left,
down,
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 up,
right, left,
up, right,
up, right, right,
up,
right,
right,
left,
up,
left,
down, left,
left,
down, left,
up,
down, down, up,
left,
right,
right,
left,
right,
left,
up,
up,
right,
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 left,
up,
down, up,
down, left, up,
left,
left,
down, left,
down,
down, right,
left,
up,
down,
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 up,
up,
down,
right,
right,
up,
down, left,
right,
down,
up,
right,
left,
left,
right,
down, down,
left,
right,
up,
right,
down, right,
left, left,
left,
up,
down,
right,
left,
down,
down,
left,
right,
up,
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 down,
left,
down,
up,
up,
right,
right, up, down,
down,
left,
up,
down, right,
up,
left,
down, left, up,
down,
right,
down, right,
left,
right,
right,
up,
down,
left, left, right,
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 left,
down, left,
down, left,
left,
Great.
right,
down,
right, right, up, left,
Very good, very good.
down,
left, up, right,
down,
up,
left,
left,
down,
down, up,
up, down,
up, down, left, up, down, right, right, down, up, left, right, left, down, down.
Okay.
A spam caller, so jack me up.
Yeah, I probably should have told you all to mute your phones, but that's okay. So very interesting, right? So even with that distraction, the whole group, the time was one set, which what we started with, and the fastest was still faster than the beginning, right? So even though we had a lot of cognitive overhead with your hands, you were still faster overall as a group than the very first one before we started the training. Okay, so that's how fast your brain changes.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a quick commercial, and then I'm going to tell you how you can get these instructions, because I want you guys to continue to get the benefits from this. So I'm sorry.
Can I ask one quick question?
Sure.
Why are there did you choose 16 lines?
Yeah, 16 lines.
For a reason. Why 16 lines? Just curious.
Well, okay, so very interesting question. This is a variation of the one we started with the Marine Corps. The one we developed with the Marine Corps originally and through most of the military was a booklet of several pages. And so the problem was we realized that in the beginning, they did not get the changes as fast. So we wanted something that would make the change really, really fast. We wanted it on one sheet of paper so I can email it and so forth. And so basically, this is 4 of those original sheets, kind of just patterned on the page. We started with this about, maybe 9 years ago, doing it this way. We found that with the one page, we could go, much faster. Now, the other reason for that, the 16 down with 8 across, is most books, there's around 8 words per line. And so this really, really helps people that are struggling with their reading, because instead of words, it's just symbols, but they're processing it and they're making those decisions. So the 8 across and the 16, just how it worked out. We actually have harder variations. This is just the very beginning. This is the tip of the iceberg. So we do a lot with this page. And then the next one, actually, there's 10 across by 10. The arrows are a different shape. There's numbers in them. So your brain has to process a lot more information the same amount of time. Plus for kids, we can do the math. So this is just the basic one, but that's why it happens. It's kind of the way it developed, was to have the 8 by 16.
John, could I ask a follow-up question as well?
Sure.
I have a daughter she's 16 now, but I have a daughter who was diagnosed at 8 years old with audio processing disorder.
Okay.
And it's been quite a journey for her, because her hearing is 100% fine. She hears everything, but the way her brain processes what she hears influences whether she understands what people are saying and the temporal aspects. And have you worked with anyone who has, and so her audiologist told us at 12, 13 years old, those parts of the brain are just done. And this will be her challenge for the rest of her life to figure out strategies for. Have you worked with anyone with foundational brain development that's complete in APD?
Well, so it's interesting. So whenever someone says, the doctor says the brain's not going to change anymore, I don't believe it, because some of the things we've worked with, I can send you some of the reports and some people I work with. So the audio, not so much, although some of the people that I've worked with, with dysphagia and some of the other issues. They've improved pretty quickly. There was a young girl with a visual processing disorder. Her doctor told her parents the same thing. And after just about 3 or 4 sessions, the doctor said, whatever you're doing, keep it up because it's getting better.
Nice.
Julia, the girl I showed there, her mom wrote an extensive, really pretty cool, an extensive report on where everything they'd possibly tried with Julia. And she had everything from, sensory issues to hearing to seeing to whatever. Her mom said they called Julia's superpower was whenever she was near you, she was always in your way. She wasn't aware enough to move out of the way. And then again, after about 3 sessions, she said, I was blown away. I started walking towards Julia, and not only did she move, but she moved out of the way and let me pass. And then she started picking up detail. And so because we're rebuilding all those connections, and the other thing that's really cool about our brains is the brain will rewire around damage. So it doesn't matter what physical damage, it could be concussions, it could be, blockage or whatever. We're not trying to fix any part of the brain. We're just trying to get the brain to do what it needs to do, and it will rewire around whatever the obstacles are to make that happen. So there's a pretty good chance. I mean, you're welcome to, I don't need to work with her to start. If you're welcome to take her through what we did today and see what happens. I might be happy to work with her, but you could even try this and see what happens with her.
Cool.
So quick commercial answer question. So basically I do this, right? So I developed this coaching program, which has been very powerful. It's 3 months. We meet every week, but the main thing is we want to improve not just the cognitive, but we can use neuroplasticity to change your habits and also your attitude. I mean, regardless, I work with athletes, I've worked with students, work with business people. We can very quickly change your habits using applied neuroplasticity, not in weeks or days, but sometimes even in 1 day. So basically the program it's based on this. We keep building on it. The goal is to leave you with a regimen that you can follow on your own, right? So this is one of several different exercises we use. And the purpose of this is to not only make you tremendous changes in your brain over the 3 months, but leave you with a schedule. So if you got a meeting coming up, you're going to do this. You got a sports game coming up, you got to do this. You got a class, you got kids to work with. These are the things to work with. And then here, what I like to do, so send me an email. I'd love to talk to you guys some more. What I will do is I'll send you the deck, and I'll also send you a recap of what we did, because I really want you guys to get the benefits of this. And even though this is just the tip of the iceberg, you will get benefits. The 2 main ways to practice are the very last thing we did, which I call the speed drill. Fast as you can with your tapping. And it's what I call it 1 minute neuroprimer. It takes you guys about a minute. You do that before your meetings, in the morning, before breakfast, before whatever, before sports. That's going to get you focused. Now, when I work with traders, they'll actually use it as a tool. So if they got to trade, if they run through that speed drill and they're not able to get through it fast and focused, they know they're not ready to trade, right? Same thing, you're not ready for your meeting. Run through it again until your brain is where it needs to be, and then you're ready for it. And then the other way is just the patterns, right? We had the color and fruit. You can mix those up any way you want. We have probably another 12 different variables off that you can do. But that's the way to work your pattern recognition and make those decisions under. So please send me an email. I'll send you a link for virtual coffee, and we can meet and talk about it. And I'll send you a recap of this. Okay.
Do you want to put your email address in the chat so that the—
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I forgot. That's what I meant. That's what I meant to put up. Right? That's what I meant to put up. So that's my email in the chat. I'll put in the chat too. Actually, I can just put the link for the virtual coffee as well. Yeah, I had the wrong screen up. Sorry.
It just makes it easier for people to copy.
Oh, of course, of course. Let me put that there. And you know what I can do? Let's see. I can actually. Where is it? I have to close this. Oh yeah, yeah. You do. Oh well. Okay. So do you guys still see that? Let me.
Yeah, there's his email, but I can put it in the chat for you.
I don't see anything in the chat.
Is put this in here as well. So send me an email, send stuff, but there's a link to for virtual coffee if you want to just go ahead and do that as well. We can do that.
Did
All
you
right.
send that to everyone, John? I don't see it.
I put it in the chat.
Oh,
Oh,
did
you know what? Oh, I'm sorry. I just sent. I'm sorry. My bad. I just sent it to Money. I got to put it.
Oh,
yes.
I put it in the chat, but you can.
Send it to me. Send that in the link. There you
There
go.
it is. Yeah. Sorry about that. Okay, so I threw a lot of stuff at you guys. If you have any questions on anything we covered today, areas where it might help. The key thing about it is, again, it's like improving the processor in your brain, right? So it doesn't matter. Like, most of people will hire me because they have a specific goal. I'll give you a perfect example you guys may be relate to. So a financial analyst hired me because we got a promotion, overwhelmed at work. I had my first session with him on a Friday, and I expected to hear from him next week that work was going better, which it was, and I did, but I kind of blew me away. Monday morning, I got an email from him. He goes, "Hey, John, I got to tell you what happened this weekend. I ran through your exercises Saturday morning. I got more done around the house by noon than normally I would all weekend. And my wife now says when she talks to me, I'm focused on her. You already made my home life great. I can't wait to get to work." Right? So these are the kind of things that happen when we're thinking faster and better focused.
So, John, I have a question. As an entrepreneur who recently took this on full time, I have found that I start my days with quiet, focused, guided meditation, thinking it was going to give me exactly what you're saying the result is.
Right.
And some days it's great, and some days my brain won't stop, and I feel like I kind of let myself down in that space. How do you compare the mental health meditation space that people promote versus the quick, fast, efficient, and furious space that you taught us today?
Right. Well, it's a good question, and actually they're very complementary. I have a lot of people that do the mindfulness. Trevor, my athlete, they try the mindful meditation, but they all find that when they do some of the arrows first, they get into that state much better. They're complementary because, in the meditative state, you want to push away or, kind of remove yourself from distractions. What this does, it just makes your brain so fast that as they can focus, that as they come in, they're gone. And so, this is actually, because it's quick and active. We actually did a side-by-side study with mindfulness many, many years ago. Ja, and I can't remember her name, did a big thing with a platoon of Marines, and they took them through the mindfulness, and they found that, after like a month or so, the ones that did it seemed to be better, which was good. The problem is they didn't want to do it, right? Because Marines don't want to sit around, they want active. So when our platoon, 100% of the guys did it, 100% of the people got experience. So they're very complementary, but if you run through just a minute or two of this in the morning, and then what we also train you is a 5-step neuroprimer I kind of alluded to before, that's very powerful. It takes about anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes, and it works all parts of your brain. And the traders I work with love it because you're ready for whatever else is coming.
Well, as someone who's about a month away from pitching to investors, this couldn't have been better timing.
Yeah, great. Well, let's talk. I'd be happy to, work with. I work with, some founders. Actually, one from the Founders and Funders group where I met Bonnie,
Yes.
and either with their teams and actually, I may be doing a program with Techstars. We're not sure. Just because, you'll love this, right? As an entrepreneur, I mean, the Marines' motto is improvise, adapt, and overcome, right? That's your life every day. So that's one of the reasons it could really help you in that area too.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
So Natasha, what'd you think? Is Natasha still
I
here?
can feel my brain moving.
Right.
Really. And that's positive because I always say that my morning brain is way better than my 6 p.m., 8 p.m., my later day brain.
Right.
So when I need to get like really important things done, I like to start with my early morning brain.
Right. Well, and this will help both actually. One of the units I work with, the Marines, the commander would have them run through this at night before their patrols.
Okay.
Same reason, a long day, they're tired, right? They got to be alert. So run through this, get your brain up and fired up, and then you're ready to go.
Yeah, attention to detail. I can understand that.
Yeah, exactly. And being alert.
Mhm.
So definitely can help in that area as well.
You know, I was curious to see who was going to lead us off when we were doing it independently of you. I knew it was going to be Natasha. I could have done it. I knew it was going to be
It's that
Natasha.
Army training.
Yep.
That's right. That's right.
Just get it done. Just get it done.
So Tommy, you had some questions from the beginning. Any questions now?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Oh, did I have questions? I have tons of questions. But I think I'm just absorbing it. I think it's really, there's so much great neuroscience research going on right now, and just disproving things from the past, and a lot of debate also in the computer science community about whether different parts of the brain are actually working together. So I think what this really underlines for me, at least in a scientific sense, is that the sequencing of different parts of the brain and how they work together is extremely important. If you can isolate a part of the brain that is maybe being disintermediated during the day or whatever during our regular tasks, it actually improves the overall function. And so that's really fascinating. And I just really would love to do anything to progress your journey and sharing this. And I would also love to learn from you. And it's so generous of you to offer to meet with us. And I know that you've provided so much value already. So, I mean, I will probably send you an email with my thoughts on all of these things, but it would probably take a half hour here.
Well, thank you. Thank you. It's kind of my pleasure. And I think this is what I was put on earth to do, right? And then Trip and Bonnie are helping me actually get some process around that, right? To get it out there. And but thanks for your yeah, please send me an email, any of you guys, if you think of things. And I'll send you kind of a recap of what we did, so you can, continue at least what we did today. You can continue to use it, practice it.
And I love the story about the bus boy. Like, everyone can relate to that.
Yeah. I mean, and that really set, and believe it or not, that led to what you guys are doing right now. Because it was that eye-opening process that launched my consulting career and then gave me the insight. I was basically at the end of that exercise at 20 pounds, I was shaking hands with General Stone, the base commander, and I just got this vision. What if I could apply what I do for businesses to the brain and use neuroplasticity? And then that's what created this, and that's what we're doing right now with you guys. So I got to thank that busboy if I ever see him again for calling in sick. Got the whole thing started.
Yeah, but it's also funny as like a microcosm how you can have a strength in one area and it will show up in many different places. And so I think your strength is in that you probably were naturally more inclined to do these things for yourself, but these things could then therefore reveal other people's strengths by clearing their mind. And I think every one of us has that strength that we sort of rely on in every situation, that we can find in every situation and we can work on. Yeah.
Right. And we all have a message and we all have something to share with the world, right? So that's what we have to do, find it and share it.
Tommy, that is so insightful. And, when people ask me what I do, it's so hard to put it in 90 seconds, which I've somehow done. But the crux of it is that I'm a system builder, just like you, John. I build systems, and within the systems that I build, we affect change.
Yeah.
But the foundation of that is the nature versus nurture, right? Who are these small human beings? What are their natural tendencies they come into the world with? Who are you as their parent? What are your natural tendencies? How do you relate to one another? How do you communicate to other people? And then let's use that to try to boost what you're really great at, and then also work on what's really hard for you, so that you have a whole sense of self and a whole sense of learning capability.
Right. Very cool. That's right.
So we're all going to meet here again tomorrow morning for the morning brain exercise.
Well, I'll tell you, Bonnie, if you should start, a lot of the teams that I work with, they start their meetings with a couple minutes of the arrows. And it's so effective because typically people come to a meeting, they got their own agenda, they're thinking about their kids, they're thinking about different things, and then you got to get going, right? Everybody does this for a couple of minutes. They're focused, they're engaged, they're having fun, and the meetings get done so much more efficiently. So if you want, buddies, feel free to start your meetings with a minute or two of what we just did.
So anybody else? Well, I want to thank John. Thank you, John. This was fantastic. And I want to thank KettleSpace.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely it was a great exercise. I feel like my brain's ready to work for sure.
Yes. So how are you feeling, Brenda?
I'm feeling great. I'm in Peru, which is 1 hour earlier here.
Oh.
So I feel like a 9 a.m. exercise was perfect for me. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much, John.
Absolutely. This was fun. I obviously I enjoy doing this, but I enjoy doing it with interesting people who trying to learn, and this has been great. You got a great group, Bonnie.
Oh, thank you for doing this. And thank you, everybody. And now you have no excuse not to get out there and conquer today. So thank you. Who knows? Maybe we can get John back again at some point.
Yeah, I'd love to. I'd love to. You let me know.
Okay.
And yeah, Kara, that's what I was thinking of, Breakfast at Tiffany's. So I thought, but I didn't want, what's that other movie about Bernie's? So I didn't want to do that one. But
oh, Weekend at Bernie's.
Weekend at Bernie's. Yeah, this is a breakfast. So breakfast
Not quite the same thing.
No.
Don't know if this would have helped Bernie much.
But John could probably bring him back to life for us.
There's a good trick.
There you go. Guys, thanks so much. I appreciate this. Make sure you send me an email. Let's meet. Let's virtual coffee and chat, and I'll send you this stuff.
Okay.
Promise.
Okay. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks. Thanks, Bonnie.
Thank you.
Okay.